whatever circumstance you're in right now and whatever roadblock you have right now, which is thrown at you, just love that roadblock because it's there for a reason. Deal with it, solve it, move on, and just be sure there will be another roadblock coming, and it will be bigger than the one before. It's just gonna happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Alive and Aligned podcast, titled "Designing a Life of Purpose" with Mr. Tayler Schweigert of Love Life Passport. Now, there's a lot of people out there in the world doing online courses, doing coaching online, marketing, sales funnels, and compared to 1 or 2 generations ago, when it probably would have taken 15, 20 years to build some significant wealth from scratch in the world, what's available to us as a generation, and with this new age of the internet and working online, it's opened a lot of doors, and the potential to make great wealth and to really design a financially free life filled with purpose is more possible than ever. And at the same time, there's a lot of people who are saying that they're doing it, but not really doing it, okay? And Tayler is definitely not that. He is definitely someone who is walking the walk. He is a serial entrepreneur. He is a coach. He is one half of the very successful travel and mindset Instagram, Love Life Passport. Him and his partner, Anika, are focused on the German market, and they produce fun, inspirational content, which is all about basically opening people up to living a free life of purpose and giving them the business mindset and skills to get there. Tayler himself has definitely mastered many of these skills, from building sales funnels. They've got multiple online coaching programs, helping people start and build their online business. He teaches people to fly first class around the world. He's got his tax consulting in Dubai. They've got a clothing company, and they're even building a school in Lombok for Indonesian children. For me, the most impressive thing is that they have got 5 Two Comma Club awards from Clickfunnels, and these are basically when you make a funnel that makes $1 million or more, Russel Brunson gives you a shiny award saying congratulations, you're in the Two Comma Club, and they've got 5 of these before the age of 30. Go figure. So it's no coincidence, and really what I was most excited for in this podcast was just to get Tayler in and just probe and just ask him loads of questions about like what allowed him to go from these really humble beginnings in, growing up in Germany, very normal upbringing, and stepping into, creating himself, as he says, and being different and standing out. And that has allowed him to, through this journey and developing this mindset and falling in love with the problem solving process of being an entrepreneur, and to move from that, humble upbringings to building this successful global empire. So I'm really excited for you to meet Tayler, and we're going to dive on in. Let's do it. Mr. Tayler, welcome to the Alive and Aligned podcast. How are you doing today?
Awesome. I'm really excited to be here because I haven't been on a live recording podcast since forever. So it's been a long time. Back on it.
What did you have for lunch today?
I had a pokeball.
Pokeball?
I had a pokeball.
Where was that?
Padang Lingyong. What's that? Poker Theory? Is that? I'm not really sure. It's really good. Yeah. Super underrated restaurant because nobody goes there. I don't know why, but it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
So the paparazzi will be at Poker Theory tomorrow.
Potentially. No, it's really nice. I haven't been there in ages, but it's really, really good. Really, really great pokeball.
Noted. I was looking at your tattoo because we were getting the frame right, and no, this one on your knee here.
Oh, that one here?
Be different. What does the other one say?
Be different and create yourself.
Let's start there.
Tell me
about those.
I've always been keen about tattooing a lot, and with my first serious relationship, I traveled to New York City. Oh my God, that's a long time ago. 10 years ago or something. No more. Oh my God. 15 years ago or something. And I got my first tattoo that was this here on the back of my thigh. And I really fell in love with tattooing, but I said if I really want to get tattooed again, I really fell in love with fine lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we went to Copenhagen for a good breakfast. Okay. And I woke up and had a coffee, and I was like, hey, it's a good day to get a tattoo. And we went to this one guy who I really adore. and here in Bali, and that was still during lockdown.
The Cafe Copenhagen.
Exactly,
Not
exactly.
The city Copenhagen.
No, yeah, exactly. Sorry, because we were talking about restaurants and cafes, right?
Sure.
So, exactly. And I was like, okay, let's get tattoo. And then we went basically to this guy, and he was free, and it was still during COVID, so he had some discount and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And I always wanted a tattoo that's kind of representing what I really, really believe in. Being different, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important things in today's culture and society, because we kind of blend into every single frame at the moment. We try to be part of something instead of just being ourselves. And create yourself on the other knee is, I truly believe that, especially in today's world, 21st century, pretty much anyone with any background has pretty much any chance out there to create anything they want. And that's pretty sick. I mean, to be alive in 21st century is a blessing. It's sick.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of crazy shit.
And you're definitely doing that crazy shit.
We're trying to be different, and we are trying to create stuff other people have potentially not yet created. And that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Tell me about some of that stuff that you're creating.
Well, yeah, it's hard. There's so many things to explain to, but I mean, in the end of the day, so 2010, I started studying in Germany. Germany, we got like a dual system, so you can work and study at the same time. But when it's like you don't go to university or something. It's like you do an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And that apprenticeship basically goes for 3 years, but you work and study at the same time.
Yeah.
But you don't get like a bachelor degree or a master degree. And I did that for 3 years, 2 years full employed after that. And I was a hotel specialist. And I started 2014. I kind of felt that everything's so normal. The money I make, the problems I had, the people I was talking, like smoking weed every single day, being drunk 8 times of the week.
Yeah.
It's like, it was like really weird. I don't know. Yeah. And we were in Germany, and I was like, I felt so wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I want to change something. So I sent applications all into the world, sent 80 applications. I was denied 80 times.
Great.
Congratulations. Amazing. And that sucked because I was working for Marriott.
Yeah.
And Marriott is like, back in the days, they were like, oh, we're the best, we're the biggest, we're the most amazing and whatnot, like typical American kind of style, right? And that was my attitude as well towards my applications. I was like, hey, I work for one of the best employers in the hotel industry. I am a really good guy. I do this, I do that. I've got all these recommendations and all these kind of things. And then I moved to Dubai. And, Dubai was basically... I sent one application to Dubai, and in Dubai, they rejected me, but then they called me and said, would you take another job as well, a different role?
Sure.
And I was like, okay, well, let's do it. They sent me a contract. I signed the contract. Today, I know you should read contracts before you sign them, because I'm basically, I signed a contract and I signed literally my life away, pretty much. So I was working like 7 days a week or 6 days a week, 3 days off per month, for like what, $500-$600 a month, living in like 9 square meters with 3 people, and like
Wow.
it wasn't really nice, right? And then from Dubai on, 8 years later, where we are today, 2022,
wow.
A lot of things happened, and one thing that changed our life was like we started an Instagram channel, 2018, 4 years ago, my wife and I, or my back in the days girlfriend, then fiance, today my wife. And we started that Instagram channel, Love Life Passport. And all we did was just documenting what we did and what we loved, and documenting our life. I saw a video of Gary Vee one day, and he said, probably the biggest chance for being successful on social media will be if you start documenting your journey instead of creating it. So documenting your journey is probably one of the biggest takeaways in any personal development stage you are, because what you want to do is you want to document your journey, because that's when people truly believe that you are taking people on that journey. Because I see it today, like a lot of people tell us, like, how did you get to the point where you are today? Yeah. I'm like, I wish you would have been here 4 years back and you'd have seen we struggled with talking into the camera. We struggled with the travels. We struggled with money. We struggled with all these kind of things which are normal when you start your thing, right? Yeah. And it's just part of the whole deal. But I hope and I wish so often that people really remember back that we are no different than anybody else. But the difference, what sets us apart and the success, which we have and had, is that we just did. We put in the work. That's the freaking difference, right? So that's what we did. And today we're not influencers. We do have influence on people because we got quite a significant audience or people who are listening to us. Sure. But we don't call ourselves influencers. We built a coaching platform. That's what we did. A coaching platform. And so far we had 52,000 students running through it in 4 years.
Wow. Yeah, your face always pops up on my Instagram.
There we are. That's me. That's me. Yeah. So basically, we kind of fell in love with marketing, and we kind of fell in love with online marketing. Yeah. Understanding that in today's world, advertising and marketing needs to be different than what has been taught in schools and which has been taught at unis and stuff like that. Marketing in today's world is just freaking different. Yeah. And it's so easy. It's just a click, a couple of YouTube videos, and you're good to go. Put a credit card in there, spend the first $1,000 and don't get anything back. That's what's going to happen in the first $1,000. That's just part of the deal, right? Yeah. And from there, that was our first venture, building that Instagram channel. But from there, we branched out. So I always tell my wife, from there, this made us adults, I would say. And this made us entrepreneurs. And that's what we are today.
Sure.
Yeah, we have, my wife has got her own company. I've got other ventures as well, companies, and being invested in multiple companies. And from real estate to other consulting businesses, software, and stuff like that. So it's been great. Life has been a great blessing for us. Yeah.
And you've created yourselves along the way.
Exactly, and that's the greatest part of it. I was in my wife's life before success and money was there for her, and vice versa. Yes, she was in my life before there was success, money, travel, whatever you want to name it, and that's what we were able to create ourselves alongside. And yes, there was a lot of trouble, and there was a lot of trouble and things we had to develop on the way. Sure. A lot of stuff, but it's been great. No, it's an amazing journey, and we really love what we're doing. And and all what we're doing right now is just trying to show people how to not make so many mistakes and people don't have to do it in 4 years. It's possible probably in 6 to 12 months. Yeah. I'd say. Yeah. Wow. And that's what we show people. Yeah.
It's interesting you were saying about documenting your journey, about how important that is and why don't more people do it. And I was having a conversation the other day with a friend, and it was around this idea of when we have these blocks, at least my experience has been when I have a block that feels crippling, this is just a ceiling I've hit. There's almost a belief of I'm never going to actually move past this. There's almost an inacceptance of where I'm at, that we can't almost see past it because that's our reality until the doors get shattered open and we can go to the next level and we can look back and say, oh, remember that time when I was at a retreat over the weekend. I was hosting a retreat, and there was a guy sharing about this experience of, caring what other people think, and his experience, wow, I really used to do that. I'm so disconnected from that now, but at the time, that was maybe limiting me in so many ways because it was such a big filter, a compressor on my life, So what are the main blocks or things that were limiting you that you had to push through in terms of beliefs or in terms of, actions or steps you had to take?
So, I mean, I think anyone or people should not believe that once you finish off one block, that there's no blocks in your life going to happen. It happens just all the time, anywhere in your life. And life always throws challenges at you all the freaking time. Sure. But that's what you have to fall in love with because that's the process. So you won't. It's not like you get one roadblock out of the way and you're like, oh, amazing, life is great, everything's perfect now, right? I mean, there's a reason why mental health issues sometimes, or most of the times, arise for people who become successful very fast, right? Because they move roadblocks out of the way with money and stuff like that, right? I mean, how many billionaires and millionaires are out there who committed suicide, like all these kind of things, right? Because success came too fast, money came too fast, and they didn't get the roadblocks out of the way. So first of all, that's what I would always do. I would appreciate every single roadblock coming, because it will teach you a lesson. It will teach you a lesson. That's number one. A roadblock is always a first indicator for that you're on the right path. That's the great part of it. Wow. So if you see it that way and you see like, oh, another one, perfect. Let's get him out of the way, right? If you have that kind of mentality, you'll be able to actually shift your mind into kind of a problem solving mode. Russel Brunson posted it the other day, and he said, the day you become an entrepreneur is the day you start understanding that you have to solve problems. Yeah. That's the day when you understand that you are an entrepreneur. And that's what I do every single day. All I do is I solve problems. Is it personal problems or problems from students, or is it internal problems within our companies, with employees, with financial problems, whatever. There's challenges around, like there's always things happening, right? It's like in the stock market, right? If you look at the stock market, if you zoom in, it looks shit at the moment. That's true. Crypto market crashes, stock market crashes, everything's crashing. But if you zoom out and you look at the big thing, it's like it was just another dent on the road, another dent on the road. And that's the same thing. Yeah. Entrepreneurship is like the stock market. Sometimes you get smashed on the fucking floor, and people will give you another, like people just stomp on you, they spit at you, they will tell you, oh, I told you it's shit, bad idea, all these kind of things. But if you zoom out, it's just nothing. Yeah. So first of all, understanding that a roadblock, or if you have the feeling of hitting the ceiling, or you kind of feel like numb of like people judging you for what you're doing, mostly friends, family, people who you think you're important to, they are not important on your journey. For me, it was, I love my family. Yeah. And I love my family to bits, no question. But I had to disconnect from my family to actually, for me, to become the person I am today, because everything is just normal. And being normal is probably something the least I want to be. Yeah. The least. I just don't want to be normal. I want to be different. I want to be someone people are like, oh shit, did he really say that? Yeah. Did he really say that? Oh, no, you shouldn't say that. That's etiquette. Like you're this kind of thing, right? Yeah. You know, the typical German kind of person would be a very conservative, not flashy, like very quiet kind of person. I'm not that kind of, it's not my personality. It's just not me.
You're wearing a bright orange shirt, so that kind of gives it away.
Yeah, well, exactly. But besides of that, I'm just probably very loud and very very vocal. And if I have an opinion on something, I will not hide. I'll just say what I want to say. Sure. And if you've got a different opinion, that doesn't mean that my opinion is right. I'm just saying that's my opinion. Yeah. If you have your opinion, I respect that, and that's great. And I'm probably going to learn from that from your opinion. But I have mine. Yeah. And that's about it. Yeah. And a lot of people can't deal with that. Yeah. So you hit that roadblock. What happens is accept it. Number one, accepting it, understanding it, loving it, falling in love with your roadblock. And it can be huge. Like I see it so often. We have coaches or students who join our programs. They spend a fortune of money on our coaching programs. I mean, we sell coachings up to like 50,000 euros. Wow. But regardless of the amount, what is crazy and what I see very often, when people take a life-turning decision, joining a coaching program, joining a mentorship program, whatever, and I'm pretty sure people who are listening to this right now, there will be a lot of people understanding what I'm saying right now. Is like you invest your first $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 into your first mentorship program or whatever. Roadblock hits. Yeah. Grandma's not feeling well. whatever, the car crashes, this happens, that happens, all these kind of things. It happens. And that's what we call Murphy's, right? If you look at Murphy's Law, basically in that book, it prescribes or describes that once you take a big decision in life, you will only really find out if that decision is a life-changing decision the higher the roadblock or the bigger the roadblock, the more life-changing it will be in the end. The question is, life will challenge you first if you are actually ready to go into that life-changing mode.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, right? And so falling in love with it is a great attitude towards a problem, I think. And then understanding that this will just make you bigger. Like bigger in terms of your personality, your mindset, your personality. And there's so many things you can learn with problems. It's great. So every single problem which arises, and it's hard sometimes. Of course it's hard because you're like, I want this one thing, right? If we, for example, if we launch programs or we work a lot with software. So if I want to launch something and we've got like a couple of thousand people registered for a webinar or something, and then suddenly something doesn't work. Maybe it's a human problem created by a human, or it's software problem, and you have to get the support involved and all this kind of, and you're like, what the heck? Why does this have to happen now? But there's a reason why. There's a reason why it's happening, and there's a reason why there's a roadblock coming. So whatever circumstance you're in right now, and whatever roadblock you have right now, which is thrown at you, just love that roadblock because it's there for a reason. Deal with it, solve it, move on, and just be sure there will be another roadblock coming, and it will be bigger than the one before. It's just gonna happen. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
It is, and that comes from a point. I've been to a lot of roadblocks. I can tell you that. A lot.
You're a professional roadblock remover.
Exactly. See, it's just really, if you want to name it that way, it's just, if you want to really, really become successful in life, look, there is a reason why a hairdresser would make less money than a doctor. Why? Because the hairdresser's problem, she's not solving he or she is not solving a huge problem. That's the reason why that person is making XYZ amount of money. A doctor or someone, who operates at the heart or something, a surgeon, right? The reason why he makes like 10 grand a month or more, well, because there's not a lot of people who can do what he's doing. And hairdresser, everybody can, like, not everybody, but you get what I'm saying, right? Without like being disrespectful. But the fact is that someone who's solving a bigger problem will always make more money.
They command a greater value.
Exactly. Not saying that one is bad and the other one is better. Not saying that, but it's just fact.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I saw the other day you were talking about death.
Yeah.
And we can explore that a little bit. And I also would love to explore before that. I noticed you were doing an Instagram story talking about death. Yeah. And I was really intrigued. I was like, this is cool. And I was curious as to how, like, as you said, because if someone was to just maybe land without knowing your Anika, land on your page, you might say, oh, wow, like these guys like do travel blogging or, cool Instagram, and they have some businesses. And then you're talking about death. So that's kind of maybe not what they were expecting if they want to just distract themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that. There was one thing I noticed, which was that a few times you kind of shared like, hey guys, like this is just my opinion. Okay. Like you can have your own opinion, but like I'm just sharing this. Maybe it resonates. Do you find that even though you are very like blunt and you get what you get, do you still find that you have to dumb yourself down sometimes?
Social media is a very fake world, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And especially when you talk about death, it's a trigger topic.
Sure.
Right? A lot of times, my wife, for example, her dad passed away 5 or 6 years ago, I'm not really sure, just due to cancer. And so when we talk about death and when we talk about, we talk a lot about health and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we talk about health and all these kind of things. And I always say, like, look, guys, we live in a society today where like in Germany, people go to the supermarket and they pay like, for a chicken breast, they pay like €2 or something, right? Yeah. How can that be healthy? I mean, it's just full of hormones and antibiotics and stuff like that. And then everybody on the other side don't understand why they get like all these illnesses and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So education is really a big topic, I believe, in the entire world, that these kind of things should be integrated into the school system and unis and stuff like that, how to be healthy. So going back to the death topic, first of all, when we talk about these topics, I don't want to trigger anyone. I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, because what I sometimes say would probably, if people will only hear what they want to hear.
Totally.
Right? So you have to be careful, right? And that's the reason why I said that multiple times and explaining, look, guys, this is just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, don't tell me. I don't want to know your opinion about it. Yeah. Because I don't want to discuss on it. All I wanted to say is I wanted to share my opinion. Totally. That's what I wanted. And just to put that into context, why we were talking about death. See, death is something a lot of people are like totally disconnected to. People don't understand. People are like, that's the crazy part about it. Funerals, right? Everybody's black. Yeah. Everybody's like, depressed. Yeah. And all these kind of things. And I do understand why, because a loving person left the earth, right? Nobody celebrates that. That's what I love here in Bali. When there's a funeral, you will witness there is a funeral in your neighborhood. Yeah. Because everybody is just, I don't want to say partying, but they're having a ceremony like crazy, right? Yeah. So they've got like noises, musicians, drums, and all these kind of things, and they're just celebrating that. Yeah. But at the same time, they celebrate the same when someone is giving birth. Yeah. And someone is born, right? Yeah. So being born and dying is just the start and the end of our life. Yeah, that's what it is, right? Very simple. But in between, the crazy thing in today's world is that most people die in the age of 20. But they leave the earth only when they're 80 or whatever, when they actually die. So what I mean with that is, the crazy part of it is, and that's where my story was basically referring to, is like so many people just accept everything. They just do their job, what society basically wants from them. They don't step up. They just do what they've been told to do. But on the other side, a lot of people complain about their life, and that's what I don't understand. Yeah. And that's the reason why I said in the story, when I put that story up, I told people, I was like, look, guys, what if today was your last day? You got this, I don't know, you get on your scooter, drive on the shortcut, forgot your helmet, coincidentally, whatever, somebody brushed you off the road, boom, you hit your head, gone, done. Yeah. It's just done. Or you got like headache or whatever, you go to the doctors and suddenly, I don't know, tumor, whatever, I don't know. There's so many. You go surfing, it's low tide, you fall off the wave of the board, hit your head on the rock. Yeah. It's done, right? So all these arguments are just pure science that you should not live like an average. It's just not worth it, right? Because the day when you leave this planet, you really have to look back and be like, okay, that was sick. Oh man, that was an amazing ride, right? Yeah. I remember Prince EA was talking about that. Great guy. Met him in Nashville, in the States. Probably the least place where you want to be in the States, but in Nashville. And I met Prince EA there, and he by that time he put out a video where he was basically coming up with a video where he explained the number one thing elderly people regret on the deathbed is that they didn't take the chances they could have taken. Yeah. Right. And this is something you would hear or read about, and you would just put it away, but you don't really let it sink in. Yeah. And that's the reason why I thought I'll put up that story, because I was talking with Edward about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put that up into the story, and I'm going to be like, if we only have one person understanding, okay, shit. Yeah.
Time to step up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the kick in the ass.
Crazy thing is, a day later, one of our students, Finn, crazy, he put a story up after my story, and he basically tagged us and said, like, guys, I watched this story yesterday of Tayler, and I didn't really get the whole death part, and why is he talking about this dark topic right now, right? But then the evening, he was at a grill party with his parents or whatever and his sister, and they drove home, right? And they got into traffic. Well, they didn't know what the traffic was about. And there was an accident. And they passed by that accident. And what happened was that somebody died in that accident.
Yeah.
And what he said was like, well, this person was probably maybe at a grill party and was just driving home, or finished work, or was on a way to a birthday party or whatnot. Boom. Truck comes, gone. Yeah. And all these kind of things should make us think, rethink. We've got such a blessing living today in today's world. We have so much opportunity that we are kind of frightened and like frozen and not taking action, because there's so many things.
Totally.
And I think everybody should take a little bit more action towards what they or what you want to actually do and achieve in life. That's what I think.
I love it. What's interesting is, right, if we change the lens for a moment, could it be that in that situation and in that, let's say with that story, that what if you didn't pull any punches? Like, what if you really told them, and maybe you trigger more people, but the trigger is actually the gift that wakes up more people?
True. I mean, in marketing, there's a saying, if you try to market to everyone, you will end up marketing to no one.
Totally.
Right? Our main audience is German. And we sometimes have to be a little bit more careful in what we say. But I'm totally with you. I'd rather punch and like, but that's my kind of philosophy, and maybe yours. But maybe another person would not understand the message that way, because maybe she or he communicates completely different, right? So people who are triggered by something, see, to trigger me, it will take you a lot to trigger me, because I will always look for the message between the lines. But that's me doing personal development since 8.5 years, right? Same with my wife, right? 2 days ago, or was it on the weekend? Like 2 days ago, something. My wife stopped birth control 2.5 years ago, and ever since she had huge issues with her skin, acne breakouts, irregular periods, and all these kind of things, right? Sure. Big issues, and we spent tens of thousands of dollars on treatments in Dubai and all these kind of things, but we were curing the symptoms, but not the actual problem. And we came to Dubai, and we did some like traditional medicine here and stuff like that, and it worked in a combination with meditation, breath work, and many things. And the other day, we were talking about this on a podcast from our podcast today. So I recorded before this podcast. I recorded already 4 podcasts today. So this is my 5th podcast today.
He's a machine.
but yeah, we just love what we do. And the crazy thing was this. So one of our followers sent a message to Anika saying, "Oh my God, your face is exploding." In terms of, because she had an acne breakout again. And in the first moment, it triggered her. Sure. Because obviously that's not something you want to read, right? Sure. If we have really good intentions with our Instagram channel, like we want to educate people, we want to empower people, we want to also entertain people kind of a little bit. Yeah. We want to inspire, we want to be there, we want to be the person cheering you up instead of being the person tearing you down. Yeah. That's us.
Making you feel not enough.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what we want to be. And then someone out of the blue, out of the off, comes in and says like, "Oh, your face is exploding. Oh, look how you look," right? Yeah. So in the first moment, obviously she's triggered. But literally a split second after that, and that's where personal development comes in, she immediately was like, "Okay, what's the message between the lines? Like, maybe we can help her, right? Maybe she's not well. or something like that, right? So we immediately spinned that we reframed basically what she said, and we were like, you know what? We were talking about it today on the podcast, and we explained like, look, yes, I can be triggered, and yes, it hurts me, but in the end of the day, someone who actually sends out a message like that must be so deeply hurt.
Totally.
And that kind of person needs help. And so that was the kind of message we then responded to her. And I think being straight at some points, yes, totally right. Especially when it comes to business topics and stuff like there's no gray zone or something. Yeah. It's just black and white.
Yeah.
It because it's numbers. That's the like it's either a black number or a red number. There's like pretty much no gray zone in between, right?
Sure, yeah.
So when it comes to business, there's just punches, full stop. But when it comes to like these kind of points, also we talk about health a lot, right? So I was talking about cancer and all these kind of things, and you have to be careful with these things.
Sure.
It's just things you don't want to be like disrespectful to people. You have to be helping people, and you have to take people on that journey, in my opinion. So that's the reason we have to be a little bit cautious about it. Still with a straightforward message. And the message is, it's a stupid sentence, but brings it pretty much down to the point. It's just live your every single day as if it was your last, right?
Totally.
It's like a mainstream cool thing to say, right? Yeah, it's like cool. I'll put that on my arm and tattoo it, right?
Yeah, but then actually do it.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's the issue. See, and that's the big issue with the whole scene or scenery out there with all these coaches and so-called coaches. It's like 95% of coaches are broke.
Yeah.
So what are you actually coaching?
Yeah.
So why don't you just fix your shit first?
Yeah.
Before fixing shit from others, right? It's just it's really a weird kind of space we're in.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, and that's the reason why I'm saying when it comes down to business, it's like we got a lot of people who come up and say like, "Hey Taylor, I've got this business running. I do $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, and can you help me fix this?" I'm like, "Well, have you fixed yourself first?" It's like if you want to go from 5 to 10K. Maybe the issue is not the market. Maybe it's not the budget. Maybe it's you. Very simple. So if you there's a couple of questions you can ask a kind of person and be like, hey, maybe it's you.
Yeah.
Maybe let's fix your problems first. And why don't you become the perfect testimonial of yourself before teaching others how they can be your testimonial?
Yes. Yeah. And I love that thread. If someone was in that place of like came to you and they're like, hey, I'm earning 5K a month, I want to make 10K a month, what would be the kind of questions you'd ask them, or what would be the general things that would come up?
So I would always start with, if we would analyze any business, it always depends on niches, obviously. It depends on markets. It depends on all these kind of things, right? So you cannot just bluntly say it's you, right? So you have to properly look at it, right? But let's say it is the kind of person is the actual issue, right? And it's pretty obvious, maybe.
It's usually
exactly. But I just want to that's what I'm just saying is like, I would just want to frame it right, that there are certain niches and certain markets where that is maybe already top of the scale, potentially, right? But usually, in probably 95% of cases, the person needs to change first. See, when I look at my entrepreneurial career, the last 8 years, I would say, like 6 years being an entrepreneur, 8 years being an entrepreneur in training. Let's say it that way. And I'm by far not where I want to be. There's so many things to learn. I personally feel I'm like, I don't know, 5% or maybe 10% of what I could potentially do.
Sure.
I'm turning 30 in January. And I'm like, oh shit, 30 already? Damn, I have to learn so much more. And then will this life be is there enough life to actually learn, right? And that's like, if you dedicate your life to learning, things become really, really, really crazy. It's like, it's really amazing. So if we have that kind of person, I would always first of all ask, I would kind of mirror. Basically, me as a coach, I want to be a mirror for that person, right? Mm-hmm. So I want to ask questions like, what would be the transformation your perfect student or coachee or mentee would basically go through, right? And then that person would say, hey, let's maybe put that into perspective and say, like, let's have, I don't know, a weight loss business, something like that, right? And because that's very obvious always and very easy to explain. And let's say someone is really teaching people how to lose weight or whatever, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, if I would ask that question, that person would say, hey, he or she would basically run through my program for like 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, or whatever. She would use my formula and all these kind of things. And then here we go. She's got there. She or he has got the transformation and she weighs X, Y, Z, and she reached her goal.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, great. Do you think you reached your goal? Because last week you were the kind of person showing off your vodka bottles on your story and being like in a club and doing all these kind of things. And I also know from your kind of lifestyle and the people you're hanging out with, you go out, you smoke, all these kind of things. So you're trying to teach someone being healthy without being healthy.
You're not embodied.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, you will make money. Because maybe you're a salesperson, or maybe you are good at marketing, or maybe you've already built an audience or something. That's, by the way, how most people make money online. See this whole entire Instagram and Facebook world. It looks, right? It really looks like all you have to do is just look good, show your boobs, or if you're a guy, run around topless and just look great, good, and do a little bit of posing and do a little bit of that, and everything's great. Bullshit. It's just not the real world. Yeah. The real world looks totally different because 95% of these people cannot even afford staying at a 5-star hotel for 2 nights.
Yeah.
They are depending on collaborations, right? They're depending on others to pay them to be somewhere. I don't want to be the bitch of everybody else out there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Absolutely not. We did 1 collaborations in the first 6 months of our Instagram business, basically. Yeah. It was for a cookie company. So they sent us free cookies. I love cookies. And I was like, of course, let's do cookie collaborations. But it felt so awkward. Yeah. We had like a couple of 100 followers or a couple of 1,000, I don't remember. And we were saying, hey, these are the greatest cookies in Dubai, blah, blah, blah. Go and get them here with the discount code. Congratulations. Yeah. The other collaborations was with Happy Socks. Have you heard about Happy Socks?
Sounds familiar, yeah.
It's like a company. They've got like super funny socks, sure. Right? And they sent us socks. And we basically sold our audience on socks. And we were like, oh, these are the greatest socks. Hey, congratulations. So we were building an audience, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. And that's already value. Yeah. So we built that audience with blood, sweat, and tears, right? Yeah. We did the videos, the editing, we did all these kind of things. And then we were like, oh, great, we're getting a pair of socks. And we will tell them it's the greatest socks. And in the end of the day, it's just stupid doing that. Yeah. Because, and then if you take us back in the days selling socks, and we would basically start already telling people how to make money online, it doesn't work because we are not making money online. What we're doing is we're idiots. That's cookies. What we're doing. It's like we're freaking eating cookies all day long and giving them to people, yeah. Right? And trying to sell the dream, but we're not living the dream. Right? So first of all, identify immediately if you are actually you have to look at it like this. If you look at a scale from 1 to 10, let's take breathwork as an example. Sure. Where would you rate yourself at a level from 1 to 10? 10 being an absolute expert about breathwork and 0 being an absolute newbie beginner.
Fuck. It's funny because when we open that, it's like I start to know now what I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm gonna say a 5.
Okay, great. So your market is clearly from 0 to 5. Yeah, that's where your market is. So you with being a 5 on a scale from 1 to 10, when it comes to breathwork, your audience, you'll be able to make money. Showing other people who would be on a scale of a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, 4, or maybe potentially on the same level like you, a 5.
Sure.
But you won't be able to coach an 8. You have to become the 8. to coach the 8.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to be, right? My PT, for example, I've got a PT since 2 years, and he basically flies around the world with us and stuff like that. Really, really cool dude. I started working with him. He's the boyfriend, be careful, not the fiance yet, but the boyfriend of my cousin, right? And if you look at him, he's a French guy, super, super nice and charismatic, but he's got his shit together. Like if you look at him, he's not like a bulky, muscly, I'm taking protein shakes every single day kind of person. He's athletic. He is on point. He is a 12 from 10 when it comes to fitness and when it comes to body composition, right? So he's not just a random bulky person who can lift weights, but his body composition is on point, just perfect. And I said, if I'm going to learn how to fall in love with the gym, and by the way, I hated it big time, I will only do it with someone who would be a 10, not with someone who's a 5. I want to be with a 10.
Yes.
So if you put that into perspective into that situation right now, we would always say, okay, you don't have to be a 10 to coach people. You could be a 2, right? You could be a 2 because you can coach the 0s and the 1s and potentially the 2s.
Yeah.
But you have to gradually always become better.
Yeah.
If you don't become better, you just stay at your 5K.
Yeah.
If you want to, for example, if you would make 5K a month with breathwork right now, if you want to make 10K a month, just you have to be better.
Yeah.
Because you will attract other people as well, and you can coach better people. And if you then at a 10, if you're an absolute expert in your region, you can charge more money.
Totally.
Right? The better you become, the bigger problems you solve. And we go back to the example with the hairdresser and the doctor or surgeon. There we are. You can charge more money then.
Yeah.
And that's where we try to bring people on that path and understand, first of all, that, oh, okay, maybe I have to become better. Because obviously everybody here, we're always the biggest fan of ourselves. Where we always think, all right, yeah, we're amazing. But then you just said one thing that was really nice. Now that you know what you don't know, you know that, well, there's so much more.
Sure.
But most people are not like that.
Yeah.
Most people on a scale from 1 to 10 in personal development are probably at 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not even.
Yeah.
I would say.
-5.
Yeah. But that's crazy. Just most people on planet Earth are just not developing themselves. And that's what I would probably answer or ask in the beginning. Yeah.
What's interesting is that, like, if you take coach, for instance, right? As someone who's a 2, like, and they really, let's say, don't believe in, like, someone who's a 2 probably doesn't believe in themselves as much as someone who's an 8 or a 9 in terms of their ability. Therefore, they will offer their services to less people. If someone has a conversation with them and they go, oh, I'm having this problem in my life, they'll probably go, oh, that's really hard. Instead of like, hey, I can help you with that. You know, if it's an 8, they're like, yeah, I can help this person, you know, because they know they're good. Whereas the 2, so therefore the 2 isn't offering their services, therefore they don't get experience, therefore they stay as a 2.
Exactly.
So it's that making that conscious leap of like recognizing where you're at, but then consistently putting yourself out there. I
would always, like, in the beginning, another question we would always ask is like, how many testimonials do you have, right? How many people have you actually helped? And it's not about thousands. It's not about hundreds.
Yeah.
It's about the first 10.
Yeah.
It's about the first 20. It's about the first 50, right? That's one thing we always coach and say is like, look, before you actually go big on what you're doing, go out there and sell your service for absolutely undervalued, just covering costs maybe or whatever, and just make sure that you sell your program at a testimonial price to friends and family who would give you an honest feedback about it.
Yes.
Become better and better and better at it. Become better and better and better. Get the testimonials. And then after that, once you got your first 10, your first 20, your first 50, that's the time where you can start scaling a little bit more. Yeah.
Because not only have you got like the embodied confidence from having done it and got the result, but you've also then got the proof and there's momentum. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It will help you. Like I remember like writing my first webinar, for example, was terrible. I did my first webinar and workshop and it was just terrible. And today, with doing a lot of coachings and a lot of research and stuff like that, I know that once you're going to write your first workshop or webinar and all these kind of things and online stuff, you would always test it first, right? You would test it live, do it all the time, and then tweak it and twist it. And then in the end of the day, you would kind of scale it and launch it properly, right? I know Russell, for example, one of his webinars,
Russel Brunson.
Yeah, Russell Brunson. I think one of the webinars which made him, I don't know, I think $35 million or something. He tested and tweaked it for a year straight. So he did 52 webinars live, every single week for 1 year straight, and then basically automated it, right? I kindly disagree with it because I think there's a lot of money being made on the way as well. So we do that on a quarterly basis. That's what we do. Yeah. So when we scale things, we do that on a quarterly basis because we let traffic run first and then we take it all and put that into perspective. But that's at the level where we are at, right? So we already got like a consistent consumer base, customer base and stuff like that. And we got a lot of experience. If you're new in the beginning, start off with testimonials, become the best version of yourself first. And then you got a solid base. Yeah.
I really get a sense from you, like in sharing that you have a strong sense of self-belief.
I built that.
Yeah.
That's not natural.
Totally.
It is not natural. And it's the great thing about it that it's not natural is that everybody can build that.
Can do it, yeah.
That's the great part of it, right? So maybe you know these kind of people like back from school or uni or whatever. There was always that one guy or that one girl, he always had confidence. Always. And people think like, okay, it's just naturally given, right?
Maybe he's born with it.
Exactly. Truth is, he's not born with it. It's been built. And I have a lot of confidence. I always had a lot of confidence in my life, but I pretty much trusted myself a lot. You know, I trust myself and my skills, and I trust the process. That's what I did. And I think trusting yourself is a great gift and a great starting point to build up more self-confidence.
Yeah. Because and from what you're saying, like the professional roadblock remover, you know, if we're approaching the business of removing problems or facing problems and we take any failure or any roadblock as a reflection of our own self-worth, maybe actually I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a failure, you know, which might not even be on the surface, but it's a deep ingrained belief potentially. That can be the thing that stops us from having the confidence and the resilience to continually face bigger and bigger problems and just keep trusting that it's going to work out.
Yeah. See, but that roots down back to the point. Of course, there's a lot of work needs to be done here, no question. And breath work is one of the things I would highly recommend.
It's not online.
But no, I'm just saying that it's just one thing, right?
It's a tool.
It's one tool. But it roots all the way back to what is your opinion about roadblocks again, right? If your opinion about roadblocks is shit, that will stop me, right? That will then always stop you.
Yeah.
Always. So see the symptom, there we are, the symptom and the actual problem. The symptom is you see that roadblock and you're like, shit, I have to stop here. Yeah. But just removing that roadblock will not make the next roadblock easier.
Yeah.
But to make every single roadblock in your life easier will be changing the belief system about the roadblock.
Yes.
And changing the belief system about the roadblock is falling in love with that roadblock.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, another roadblock means another challenge I accept and I will pull through. And I will be able to remove that roadblock. Some will be done within a minute. Other ones will take a week. Others will take a month. Others will take a year. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? We are in the process of launching a software right now. And
what's the software?
It's It's launching soon, so I can say it. It's basically, I always wanted to have a software and to build a software, and that software will basically you'll be able to basically pay any bill in the world, your rent or whatever, with a credit card. So one of our coaching programs is totally off topic of everything, but it's a passion project for me, and we've built roughly 4,000 people. We've got 4,000 people enrolled in that program, and basically that's a community of travelers where we exchange ideas how you can travel as cheap as you can, but as most luxury as possible.
Wow.
Right? So how can you fly first class but paying under $100? Right? Because solving problems, I am just too greedy to pay $10K for a first class ticket.
No.
Never gonna happen. It's like never gonna happen. Not gonna happen. But not because my relationship to money is bad or something. Absolutely not. But just because it's just too much money for what? It's not worth it. Absolutely not. But flying first class for like $80, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Because the economy ticket is like 5 times the price, and you're like, how the heck are you doing that? So we built that, and we're building a software for our community where people will be able to pay their bills with a credit card, right? Preferably with American Express. And because I'm a big believer in that company. And one big roadblock is going to be, and I can already tell you the roadblock, and that's going to be a big roadblock, and I'm preparing for it already. Sure. So only by talking about it, I'm preparing for it, right? It's going to be a big wave. And my programmers and my software engineers and the dev team and everybody, they basically bring up that topic all the freaking time. And they tell me, hey, Tayler, just remember that will be a problem. And the problem will be that at some point we have to be a financial regulated company. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but why don't we just surf that wave whenever that wave comes? Sure. So we start developing and we do all these kind of things. But that will be a big thing, because being a financially regulated company, there's a lot of responsibility which comes with that, right? A lot of stuff, right? Being an official regulated company, that will be a big thing. But I already know that roadblock will come. It will be a big thing, right? And take that into perspective, whether you're listening or for you, somewhere in yourself, you know there is a big roadblock somewhere in you where you think, okay, that roadblock, it will come, that day will come where I have to face that problem.
And you don't want to think about it.
Exactly. But it is just part of the deal, being ready and prepared for it, right? But I'm already in love with that whole discussion about it. I'm already in love about the situation. I'm like in love about the problem coming up, because I know I want to find the small way how to make it happen, right? I want to find, I want to solve that problem, because if we solve that problem, the company gets bigger, the software gets bigger. We're going to be more successful. There's more money involved. We're going to make more money. There's more profit. And maybe eventually at some point, maybe this will be a historical podcast, because the goal is to sell that company one day. Let's see, Klarna or anybody. Whoever puts like the first 100 million on the table, take it.
We'll think about it.
No, but let's see where that goes. But see, it's just in Germany we've got a saying. It's like the way you do things the way you do things, like the way you handle small problems is the same way you handle big problems. It's the same strategy basically, right? And you acknowledge the problem, you fall in love with the process, and understand that problem is just preventing you of getting to that next thing. Yeah. Right. And it's really good. Problem solving is really, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to fall in love with it.
Yeah. I think that for me is the big takeaway from today is like, in getting to, because we hadn't even had a chance of like even a coffee and a proper drop in before. Like,
that's actually true.
We're doing the coffee tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Usually it's the reverse, but like in like getting to learn more about you and like your like the way your mind works and the way that like you view life. Like I think this is really the gold, which is like that as you said, to love the challenges of life, you know, and the more you can love them, the more successful you'll be and the better version of yourself you can create.
By the way, the cool thing about it is this is not applicable only to business or whatever. This is applicable to relationship. This is applicable to health issues. This is applicable to family stuff. This is applicable to friendship. We've got a framework which we call Escape and Arrival. That's the name of our podcast. That's the name of our coaching program. That's the name of our retreats. That's basically pretty much everything for us is about escape and arrival. Escaping from scenario A and arriving at scenario B, right? That could be unhealthy, healthy, escape and arrival. That could be overweight, normal weight. Yeah. That could be not fit, right? That could be being a breathwork, a beginner, being a breathwork expert, right? It could be whatever, right? And Anika and I have got this, we call it like life triangle, but that's something Anika and I developed for ourselves, for our relationship. So we wanted always to focus on 3 things for us. That's health at number 1, spirituality at number 2, and business at number 3, right? So for us, the business part came first. Because I was super driven, Anika was super driven, and we weren't yet at the point of personal development that health really was put into the right perspective. Mm-hmm. So we're like this young couple being like ready to take over the world,
sure,
right? So everything else was like secondary, and we were like, sure, okay, fuck it, let's just build business. Yeah. And so at some point, we had the confidence that, look, business is fine. So we know how to build a business. We are making money. Everything's great. We got more than we could have ever asked for. We are healthy. We can afford rent. We live in the best places. We can go to the best practitioners. If we need anything, we got access to good food. We got water. Everything's fine, right? Yeah. So what do we need more? So business, we'll put that aside. But then in Dubai, we've been living there for 8 years. And moving to Bali was a roadblock. We basically kind of removed that roadblock because we were in Dubai and we were kind of occupied. We were like kind of grumpy. Like we live in this fast city. Everybody like Lamborghinis everywhere. Everything's glitter, yachts and all these kind of things. And it's such a fake world. Yeah. I love Dubai, but it's such a fake and not real world. And the funny thing about it is that most people in Dubai, there's more people in Dubai broke than being rich, right? Yeah, wow. So it's like everybody's pretending to be something they're not. Yeah. And I think probably Dubai is probably one of the cities in the world with one of the highest numbers for like mental issues, for sure. Yeah. So we were kind of in that bubble and we were like doing our thing. Yes, it was great, but we were like missing that kind of touch. So when I went to the supermarket, we go to the supermarket and you spend a fortune on supermarket stuff. It doesn't matter. Look, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If an avocado is €5, right? It's just a lot of money for an avocado, right? And the crazy thing about it is that avocado was probably, I don't know, in Chile, or then it got shipped to Europe somewhere, then to Spain, and then somewhere to Dubai or something, right? Yeah. So it's like
disconnected.
It's just totally wrong, right? And we were like, okay, you know what? We want to change something. We want to focus more on us and on health. Spirituality for me, where I would count, but that's only my personal definition, where I put breath work also into that corner. I knew there was spirituality, and I knew that spirituality is something I want to explore more. But I was always the kind of person being like, I don't understand it. Like the he, she, and the hoo and the whatever. Yeah. I just don't get it. I'm like, no. Yeah. I was like kind of afraid of it. You know what I mean?
I think most Western people start out like that.
100%. Like if my dad freaking laughs at me if I tell him we go and meditate until the day he meditated the first time.
Sure.
Right? It's like for me, like when Jamie told me about Edward and about breathwork, friend of ours. And I was like, what? Breathwork. I'm like, well, I said like, funny enough, I said like, well, what do? You lie down and breathe. Ha 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 ha. And he's like, yeah, that's what you do. And it's pretty exciting. And then long story short, after 8 years, we basically left Dubai to move to Bali. out of pretty much nowhere in the middle of lockdown, because it felt right that this roadblock we had in terms of health, we didn't feel like the energy we had or we wanted to have. And we were like, you know what, let's move to Bali and let's go where, if you go to the supermarket, I mean, if you go to Samadhi or whatever, Buddha, Body Buddha, or whatever these
Even
names.
The local market.
Yeah, the local markets and whatnot. Man, it's not, you won't get fresher food.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty much just straight out of the ground.
Yeah, totally.
And that's just amazing. And that was a roadblock for us. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe this roadblock does not occur to you right now, but maybe, and as I said, if you progress in personal development, the roadblocks get bigger and more intensive. But that was a roadblock for us. And we decided, based on our values and based on what we want in our life, we want to remove that roadblock. Yeah. And that's what we did by moving to Bali. And now we are focusing on both health and spirituality, right?
And the business is still crazy.
But here's the crazy thing. Business skyrocketed in the second we focused and turned ourselves to personal development or to health topics and spirituality.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like the amount of money which went through the companies, and we went from 0 employees to 10 employees in 14 months or something, just by turning into it. Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And I think because that triangle, if you look at it, business, health, and spirituality, it complements each other. Yeah. And that's the great part of it. And it really helps you to not run into too many roadblocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because some people only focus on business all the time. Yeah. They will eventually run into health issues. People who only focus on health all the time, well, eventually they will just live a mediocre life and just have what everybody else has. Yeah. People who are only living on the breath of spirituality tend to be the kind of person being stuck in Ubud. Yeah. Right?
Not so much cash.
Exactly. Without being disrespectful or something. But I want to oversaturate it. But it's a triangle. It's all three. And it's 33% each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Mm. So you're the first ever guy on the Alive and Aligned podcast.
Is it?
Yeah. How does that feel?
That's amazing. I'm bringing some yang energy here.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that at the start, and we just dove straight into it. But I just wanted to acknowledge that.
That's amazing. Thank you.
It was supposed to be like if Anika was there as well, then
yes.
kind of wean it in, but straight in there.
Anika will be here for sure as well. I told her, but she couldn't be here because before we travel, we've got a couple of things to do, and she has to get them done because it's for her brand and stuff like that.
So tell me about her brand. Tell me about what you guys are working on. If anyone wants to find you and look up what you're doing.
So the easiest way is always Instagram. Probably if you just put in Love Life Passport, you'll find us there. Anika is a great example of every single day I become a more and bigger raving fan of her. I really have to say, but not only because she's my wife, which is great, but the amount of work she's putting into herself and what she is like, the kind of roadblocks she had to move out of the way, where I can't help her. It's because it's her roadblock. Yeah. By the way, that's a pretty interesting thing. You won't be able to remove roadblocks for others. Yeah. People have to remove their own shit. Yeah. Right? Let's be honest. If you go to the toilet, nobody's going to come wipe your ass. It's just the way it is. You have to do it yourself or nobody will do it. It's just the way it is. But
surely you're successful enough to have a toilet ass wipe.
but it is the way it is, right? Nobody will remove your shit. Yeah. It is the way it is. And there's nothing to negotiate on it. A lot of times in relationships that happens, and that causes friction, that causes problems, that causes tense relationships, that especially if you have business and love being kind of close to each other, right? That happens a lot, that the husband or the boyfriend or the wife or the girlfriend would take on the responsibilities of the other, and then would try to help that kind of person to push that through. But it doesn't work. Yeah. It like, in my opinion, it doesn't work because you can only become the higher you if you remove your own shit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it doesn't feel the same as if someone else comes and removes that roadblock, right? Because, for example, let's say you'd had a girlfriend and you are super rich, right? And she has some issues, whatever. Let's say she has to pay off her student loan or whatever, right? And you just come in and be like, fuck that, I'll just pay that student loan. It feels different for her, you paying it off, or she goes and works 4 jobs at a time and pays it off herself.
Yeah.
Right? So she has to get her stuff sorted first. And she did that. Like, Anika and I almost quit our relationship back in the days, 2016, roughly, 17. And I'll tell you why. Anika and I, we had a 2.5 year long distance relationship. I moved to Dubai 2014. Anika moved to Dubai 2016. She started studying when I left. And 2016, when I started my first, let's say, entrepreneurial chance or company, whatever you want to call it, I started with personal development. I started reading books. Podcasts back in the day wasn't that big, really. Podcast wasn't a thing. It was more books and videos in YouTube, more or less. Sure. And I started my journey, and I became better at understanding life, understanding business. My skills got better and all these kind of things. Now, after a year roughly, Anika moved to Dubai, and she was a cabin crew for Emirates. She was flying for Emirates. Now, that's what she was doing. No personal development, no reading, no YouTube, no podcasts, no whatever so-called personal development. So every single day I was hooked on my dream. I was hooked on like, come on, let's do it. I want to make this happen. I don't want to live a normal life anymore. I want to pay off my debts. I want to make I want to help my parents quit their jobs and go into pension and all these kind of things and enjoy their life. I want to drive a nice car. I want to have a nice apartment. I want to have a worry-free life. And she was like, oh, well, I'm making my 2,000-3,000 euros a month. Everything's great. Thank you. Mediocre life.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, we've got a problem. We got a big problem.
The gap is emerging.
Exactly. Because the gap was emerging. So we sat down. And by the way, this is a great. If you want to save your relationship, regardless on how long you are together or not, or married or not, this is a great tip. Sit down. Get yourself a piece of paper. Get your partner a piece of paper. Not allowed to look left and right? You have to do your own shit. And write down your life goals. It doesn't matter where you want to go. Like, and how big your dreams are. Just write down whatever you want. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 50 and you're already 30 years married, it doesn't matter. You've got still, if you look at today's science, probably 50 years to go. So for fuck's sake, you got half of your life in front of you. Yeah. So go ahead. Freaking hell. Write it down. And then once that is done, put them next to each other. Get a yellow highlighter, right? And find common ground. Right? So, by the way, a common ground would not be the guy puts down a Lamborghini and someone else would put down, and the woman would put down, I don't know, shoes or whatever, right? I'm not talking about these kind of goals. Yeah. I'm talking about substantial goals, right? Really deeper goals. Let's say you find charity on there. Let's say you want to help people who are not that privileged, like a lot of Westerners, where school is granted, right? Yeah. And that was one thing which was on our list, by the way. And we found common ground in travel. So I quit my job and I jumped on the same plane as her every single time she flew.
Wow.
So as she was cabin crew, I was able to fly on an ID-90 ticket. As probably most of you know, that's if you're kind of familiar with the airline industry, your boyfriend or husband or whatever is able to fly with you. Basically, if usually it's not made for the way I did it, sure. Because I was basically jumping on every plane. So that's not what it's made for. But I basically kind of misused the system. But our kind of common ground was travel. So I was like, you know what? My wife wants to spend time with me. I want to spend time with her. I'll just quit my job and I'll just travel with her. That's it. Right? So that was our common ground. And that was my contribution to it. Her contribution was then she was getting more into entrepreneurship. She was reading books. She was suddenly looking at YouTube videos. She was sitting next to me when I had a call. She was understanding things. She was understanding the process and all these kind of things. And suddenly the gap wasn't emerging anymore. We kind of got to the same level. And that was amazing because it felt like, wow, we're a team, right? It's not only a relationship, it's a team. That was the day when I knew I'm going to marry that woman. By the way, that was because I knew, look, if that's the case, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you don't find that very often. So if you're in a situation where your relationship is kind of going down, or you feel that that person is not the right person or whatever, if your mission and vision is aligned and you can find common ground and you both run for it, undeniable, the biggest and the best glue you can find to glue each other to each other. It's really, really, really good. Really. Yeah. It helps. And yeah, Anika, basically what happened was she built the business together with me, and she's the boss more or less. I have to say, yes, I have my responsibility in our company. That's mostly marketing and stuff like that. But she's pretty much the boss, and she manages all the employees and all these kind of things. And besides of that, she built her own eco fashion brand. Started off with bikinis back in the days. Today it became activewear, loungewear, and all these kind of things made from like hemp and bamboo and recycled plastic and all these kind of things. And also she has a female empowerment academy. So she helps basically females to, she empowers them to really, really become the best version of themselves.
I can tell you're very much her champion.
Say again?
I can tell that you're very much her champion.
She is amazing at what she's doing. And the journey she's on is undeniably harder than mine, I have to say. Because when she lost her dad back in the days, she still stuck to her decision to move to Dubai. She left back her mom basically in Germany, and being a big girl, being like, you know what, I'm going to basically show my dad the world through my eyes. And I'm just going to go out there and travel the world and make sure that he sees it through my eyes. And I think that's a really, really powerful thing. And the way she deals with the acne part and the judging part from outside, because people see us every single day on Instagram. I mean, we got tens of thousands of people watching that story every single day and judge always, right? And this is something we chose, by the way. We're not
victim.
We're not victims or whatever, right? Absolutely not. We are just, we actively chose that life, and that's fine. But dealing with it is a challenge and can be a challenge. Yeah. But it's she's freaking amazing.
I've no doubt that whatever roadblocks come your way, you guys will continue to smash them out.
And it's every single roadblock will teach us a story. There's so much to learn from it. There's always something to gain from it, but you will always lose something, and you will tend to lose a little bit of your old you, and that's good, because your old you, the person you were yesterday, that's not the kind of person that's interesting for the future. Where you want to be, you want to know who you're going to be tomorrow. You want to be a percentage better than yesterday. If you do the math, just be 1% better every single day. That's a pretty good return on invest per year.
When we do that zoom out, we look at that lifetime chart.
That's a good one. That's a good ROI. That's a good ROI. It's really, really, really good if you do that. Yeah.
Tayler, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Peter, I could talk for hours.
You literally could.
I was like, I'm ready. I mean, we could order some more coconuts. We could just stay here. There's no daylight in here, so that's really, really good. So we can just stay, be like, hey, what time is it? Oh, 5 a.m. Oh, amazing.
We just go all night.
Yeah. No, it's really, I'm really, really happy. No, it's really, really great. I really enjoy it. Thank you very much, Pete.
My pleasure. Have you one last message under 5 sentences for the lovely people?
Under 5 sentences. I just finish off how we started. Be different and create yourself.
Yeah. Love that.
That's what it is.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.